Hello, Sanford. You are listening to Sanford Sports Radio. I am your host, Jonathan West, and welcome to the Howler. As we're coming off of a very, mixed game, a very turnover-heavy game against Buffalo. Luckily, Sanford came away with the W and got their first win in MAC conference play of the season. A plus here is they're going into Week 8 with a lot of recruits coming in. The recruits will be piling in this week to the Sanford City Stadium, to the Den, as Byron Girard and a number of other recruits will be joining the normal, usual Sanford faithful. But we do have a couple new recruits on the board we've got to talk about because it's getting late in the season, and these recruits, you're going to want to remember these names. We'll get to them when we get to them. As Nick Billings, the tackle from New Mexico, seems to be fully focused on staying close to home with Baylor. So I'm not sure if Sanford's going to be a thing for him or not. Eric Peters, the athlete, we talked a lot about him. He'll be joining Byron Girard and a number of other recruits. We will mention every single one of them that's coming here this week. And it's going to be fun. I'm hoping to get at least a word with one or two of them. I know a number of them are extremely excited about this game from what I've been hearing. And it's going to be fun to see how well this team plays with so many young men in attendance. That's going to be probably my favorite part of this week's contest. But Eric Peters, the big athlete coming in. Samson Stratton. There were a lot of question marks if he was going to be coming to this week's ball game, but it does seem like he'll be here for Week 8. So, the young athlete from the University Heights, Ohio area will be joining I don't even know what term to call it, the huge amount of recruits that are going to be coming in this week. Nice to see him. He's been really kind of the up-and-comer of all of these recruits we've talked about this year. The coaching staff still isn't sure exactly where he fits, but if he commits here to Sanford, I think they're going to find the right spot for him. Shea Faraday, of course, the Toronto native, going to be coming down south a bit into the U.S. to visit the Sanford Coyotes in this week's matchup. It's going to be a fun situation for him because really the Coyotes are his top priority. So I would not at all be surprised to see him sign on the dotted line and be a Coyote following this week's matchup against Eastern Michigan. Now let's talk about a couple new recruits. Marvin Clark, an athlete out of Martinsville, Virginia. This is a kid that this coaching staff found some tape of and were shocked that no one had offered this kid a scholarship yet. There's a quarterback issue here at Sanford. This might be the answer. This kid has played on both sides of the defense. He has played some Ironman football. Very similar, actually, to Tanner Patrick. And that's going to be a key conversation, I think, in this talk of Marvin Clark. He's very similar to Tanner Patrick. He can throw well. He does have a bigger arm, and he has a much more accurate ball. He's a lot sharper than Tanner Patrick right now. And he does have a very similar set of skills. So Marvin Clark, a big guy to keep in mind, I think, coming in to these big MAC conference games. Keep an eye on him. Jean-Paul Valley, the punter extraordinaire, will be, of course, coming in this week. It's going to be fun to have him in there. From all accounts, it sounds like the coaching staff is expecting him to sign when he walks into the building. So Jean-Paul Valley, if you are going to sign, welcome to Sanford. It's nice to have a punter that, from everything I've heard and seen on tape, is going to be a game changer in more than one area. Another young athlete to talk about is Jeremy Williams. We're seeing the coaching staff look at athletes a lot here as of late. They're trying to find guys that can fit just about anywhere on this team. And the young man out of Eager, Arizona, it's a very similar situation to Marvin Clark. He's a solid quarterback when he's on offense. And when you watch this kid's tape on defense, he can play great coverage as a safety. So if he were to come to Sanford, it'd be an idea of where do you play him? Do you play him at safety or do you play him at quarterback? Where does he fit? This team is starting to look at guys where they can play them at a multitude of positions and have backups anywhere. It's a very smart concept, if you ask me. Joe Baker, the running back out of Chicago, Illinois, he'll be coming in with the gaggle of recruits. Baker is expected to pretty much sign on the dotted line as well. It's pretty much well known that Baker is high on Sanford and no other school is touching Sanford right now in his lineup. So it's everybody's kind of expecting Baker to sign as well. Another recruit to keep in mind, Pat Lewis out of Broken Bow, Oklahoma. This kid's no quarterback. However, he's a solid receiver and would make a great part of that secondary. So keep this kid in mind. He could be a big weapon on offense and defense. I could see some of these athletes we're talking about maybe playing a little bit of Iron Man football for this Sanford football team. I would not at all be surprised to see that happen. But Pat Lewis, another guy to keep in mind out of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Gordon Sutton, the cornerback out of Greensburg, Pennsylvania. He will be joining the other recruits coming in this week. And nobody's expecting him to sign right now, but from what I've been hearing, his family is extremely excited. They'll be coming with him for this week's game, so that's fun. Hopefully Sutton signs too. That'd be amazing if we could get 3 to 4 guys coming in and signing on the dotted line for Sanford. Antonio Perkins, the tight end, we talked a little bit about him. He seems to be fighting over West Coast and East Coast team pretty much in Sanford and Oregon State. So we'll watch that one as it progresses. But the last man we'll talk about is Albert Lynch, the middle linebacker. With Bowie going to ECU, it looks like this team has switched focus to Albert Lynch, who is a fairly speedy linebacker. He's got some solid run stuff ability. However, he is more of a building block guy. We could see him kind of built like Otis Griffin a bit. And he will be kind of built behind the starter and maybe, grown into a future starter. Robert Kennedy, of course, is going to visit still from what we know week 10. However, he has stated that Sanford is mainly out of the running. It seems Boston College has won him over. So we'll see if a visit in week 10 is even a thing. Now we've got some sad news. Sean Taylor Jr. has committed to the Nittany Lions. He was going to visit this week, but a commitment was made late last week. So Sean Taylor Jr. is a Penn State Nittany Lion for his college career as far as now. Brian Bowie, I said, had committed to ECU. He's off the board, which led to Albert Lynch being brought in. That also happened earlier this week. And Ian Harlow, the tight end out of California, has made the decision to stay in California, in Southern Cal, with UCLA being his school of choice. Now, the players of the week, conveniently, the defensive player of the week is Tatum Slack, who hauled in 30 picks in the game against Sanford. Luckily, still a Sanford victory, even with so many turnovers. And we'll be talking about the quarterback situation here in just a bit, because I actually got to talk to Coach Darren Wolf earlier this week, and to put it bluntly, it sounds like he's very confident. I don't know if that's because he knows something that us kind of Coyote faithful do not know, which would make sense. He is the head coach. I'm not saying that there's some type of secret agenda here, but it's almost like he's got an idea of where these players are that we haven't been able to see on game day. Because I asked him where the quarterback situation was right now after one of last week's practices, and he literally looked at me dead in the eyes and said, "I've made a decision. We know our starter, and he's the best man for the job." So take that as you will. The starter is in play for this week's game. We'll find that out, I take it, when game time starts. But other MAC games this week, we've got Central Michigan going to Northern Illinois. That'll be a fun one, with NIU being Sanford's opponent next week, and we know the feud between those two schools plenty. Kent State takes on Ohio. Ohio will come to Sanford in Week 10, so that's going to be another game to watch. And Bowling Green facing Miami of Ohio, another one to keep an eye on. Miami of Ohio currently in front of Sanford in the East. Western Michigan goes to Akron, and Ball State heads to Buffalo. So it's an interesting slate of MAC games, to say the least. And Sanford will be, of course, facing Eastern Michigan. It's a game that, on paper, I don't think anyone thinks Eastern Michigan has a chance. They're dealing with a couple of injuries. Sanford is healthy for the most part. There was a situation with Richard Cruz last week where he left the game very late with a bruised sternum. From what I know, he is healthy and will go this week full. So we'll see him out there. There is no issues, of course, with concussion symptoms with Claude Fleming. It's a healthy team versus a fairly injured team on paper. And this is a winless team against a team with 3 wins that is on a win streak. That's the difference here. And personally, if you ask me, I think Sanford should come out on top handedly. This should not be a tough game for this team. As long as they don't make the same number of mistakes they made against Buffalo, Eastern Michigan, in my opinion, should not have a chance here. Now, this could be a trap game, and Sanford may be far too overconfident like I am, and that will lead to a bunch of issues. But on paper, this is Sanford's game to lose. Now let's discuss just a little bit the quarterback situation at its heart. Tanner Patrick hasn't had a good season. We've talked plenty of that this year. He's already thrown 21 interceptions to only 4 touchdowns. Not a good year. There have been a lot of question marks at the quarterback position. A lot of people thought Patrick would play a lot better after the seemingly solid success he had last year. Didn't work out. We saw Dante Anderson enter during the second half last week. They went with a 2-quarterback set. I don't know what they have in mind now, but if Anderson takes over, it's going to be very similar to what we saw, I think, in the first year of Sanford's existence, where Anderson took over for Parker Dillon. We can't just be going in a loop here. There's got to be a starter for this football team. Coach Wolf has to make that decision. He says he's made it, and it's the man who's going to give them the best opportunity to win. We'll find out this Saturday. Hopefully that person defends the den this weekend. Now, on the topic of quarterbacks, we'll talk the true freshman John Mason, the man running the show at Eastern Michigan. The kid's talented. He's very athletic. That's something to keep in mind. We're probably going to see him run a lot. He has not had a good season, though, when it comes to throwing this football. So that is something I think that Sanford can take full advantage of. When he has to throw, this defense can make big plays off of him. They've got to stay focused, and they've got to play smart so they don't make any big mistakes. Now, the man we're going to have to be watching all day is Ian Erickson, the running back. We saw plenty of him the last time these two teams faced off. Erickson is a bull. Best way to describe him is a bull in a china shop. He's going to wreak havoc if he gets an opportunity. He's a lot bigger built than what it seems at 211. So this guy will run you over if he gets the chance. So don't be afraid to try and take him down with a lot of force. Opposing that is, of course, the second running back on the depth chart, and arguably their second biggest weapon, Shaq Van. He's your speedster of the two. So that's going to be a guy you have to keep in mind when you expect them to maybe use a halfback as a receiver. Van's going to be another big threat. They have a ton of threats at the halfback position. Luckily, this defensive line this year has played extremely well, and if they can live up to how well they've played so far this season, these running backs won't be a threat this week. On the defensive side of the football, there's only one man really to talk about, and that's strong safety Jason Beck. The senior has had a solid year so far. He really hasn't been the deadliest man on the team, but with 2 interceptions coming in, that's something that whomever the quarterback is needs to keep in mind. They need to watch Jason Beck. They need to know where number 3 is all the time. He's going to be a force if he gets the opportunity. So they need to make sure he doesn't have that opportunity. It's going to be a big game this week as more MAC Conference play gets going, and we'll just keep rolling with MAC Conference play through the rest of the season. As your Sanford Coyotes will face the Eastern Michigan Eagles this week. You've been listening to Sanford Sports Radio. That's been all for the Howler. I've been Jonathan West, and we will see you this Saturday. Hello, Sanford. You are listening to Sanford Sports Radio. I am your man on the call, Jonathan West, and it is finally time that I can say again, hashtag defend the den is a go as the Sanford Coyotes are finally back home as they face the Eastern Michigan Eagles. It's going to be a fun one here today at Sanford City Stadium, as a lot of recruits are in attendance and the Coyotes are wearing their black and blues to celebrate that today. Trying to show off the alternate jerseys for the recruits that may not have seen them just yet. So Sanford going to rock them today. Their black tops, blue bottoms, and of course blue hats. But it is going to be a game they got to be careful about. It's a trap game. In reality, a shutout on paper for the Coyotes as they face the winless Eastern Michigan Eagles. We'll see if this team can play as hard as they need to with these young men in attendance here. Possible future Coyotes here to watch this team as things are getting set to be underway. As it's great to be back home finally in Eastern Michigan. Gonna kick this one off to get us going. Sam Moore to return, as he's going to get a couple of blocks in front of him, but he can't find enough room. It'll be a 20-yard gain down and around the 25-yard line. 1st and 10 here for Sanford. Under center is Patrick, and they're going to start off the only way they know how, Claude Fleming on a 5-yard run. That is vintage Sanford football there, just giving the ball to the big workhorse. 2nd and 5, it's play action for Tanner Patrick. Nobody open, and he'll just throw it away. It's a safe throw away there to bring up 3rd and manageable here now. As a 5-wide set, Patrick looks to throw over the middle, and it's intercepted. That is Williams with the pick. We didn't even discuss him in the talk on the Howler earlier this week, because Jason Beck was really the only defensive back who was a giant threat, I thought, to this team. Well, Williams comes away with a pick. Pass was intended for Duron Costello. And it's Eastern Michigan football as they begin with Ian Erickson on the ground. A 6-yard gain for the big runner. As the no-huddle begins here for the Eagles, Mason in the shotgun formation, move to a pistol, and they'll go option as Mason takes it up past the marker. 9-yard gain taken down by Jason Turner. The freshman already getting underway here. 1st and 10 as the play comes in from the sideline from this no huddle. And whatever they had designed didn't work out as Dylan Trevor, the hometown boy, comes crashing in to make the play there on the freshman Mason. A loss of 3 as it's 2nd and 13. Mason out of the shotgun. He's going to take off here. McLaughlin can't bring him down. Cruz finally does, but not till after a 15-yard run. First down, Eastern Michigan, as they're down at the 3-yard line. First and goal here as Mason pitches it out to Erickson, and he takes a big hit at about the 1.5 from Jason Turner. The no-huddle continues. Here's its 2nd and goal. Man in motion. There's the tight end for Eastern Michigan. Is Mason throwing, and that's picked off. Flash Gibson. He takes a knee to be safe. They're going to get it now at the 20. Big interception for Flash, as that, I believe, is number 3 on this young season. First and 10. Claude Fleming with the handoff, and that's going to be a gain of 7 to begin for the low since the whole concussion situation. Tyrone Jennings, though, gets the handoff here on this one. That's going to be a loss of 1 as Vincent Calhoun brings him down. 3rd and 4 as the handoff goes to Fleming. They just keep it on the ground, and Fleming tries to fight his way up front but stumbles and can't get enough as they'll have to punt it away. Eastern Michigan takes back over as Mason on the run here on 1st and 10, and that's going to be a gain of 12 off the read option. Cruz brought him down, but it is an Eagles first down. Mason getting the play from the sideline with this no huddle, and they're going to go to Erickson here. And he'll take the handoff up the gut for a gain of 7. I told you he's a lot bigger built than he looks. Don't be surprised if you see him barrel over some guys. And 2nd and 3, it's Mason running. He loses the football, but it goes out of bounds. So it is a gain of nothing for the Eagles. They got lucky with that one. 3rd and 2, the crowd is going crazy here in the stadium, but Erickson picks up the first down, a gain of 9 on that run. It's two teams that seemingly just want to run the football today, and this is going to be an interesting matchup if that's just going to be the situation. As back to the ground go the Eagles as Erickson takes a shot there from Richard Cruz, and I believe he used his helmet to bring down Erickson. They're showing a replay here in the stadium, and that is a big hit. And that helmet was utilized for sure. 2nd and 12, Mason with the screen here for Shaq Van, but he is going nowhere. Big Joe Irvin pulls him down real quick. It's a loss of 1, bringing up 3rd and long. Shotgun formation for Eastern Michigan, as everybody had to get in play before they could get the play from the sideline. As it is 3rd and 13, Mason to throw. He goes down. Guess who it is? Big Joe Irvin. Down goes Mason. Sack number 6 on the year for Joe Irvin. That is huge. He's getting very close to double-digit sacks. Of course, the school record is 10 by Shane Townsend in the first year of this program. 1st and 10, handoff for Sanford as they're back on offense. That's a gain of 8 for Claude Fleming. This team not afraid to challenge Eastern Michigan at this ground game. 2nd and 2, handoff. No, it's play action. As Patrick goes deep downfield, that's Fellows, but he can't hang on. It's been a rough senior year for Herb Fellows, to say the least. As 3rd and 2, handoff goes to Fleming. He's going to fight his way, thanks to some blocks, into a nice first down. That's a gain of 5. He only needed 2 yards. He gains 5. So it's a new set of downs here for the Coyotes. As Patrick hands off to Tyrone Jennings here, as that's going to be a gain of around 2 or 3. 2nd and 7 looks like what's coming up now. Shotgun formation, and Patrick looks to throw on 2nd down. He connects with Rob Thomas. The young sophomores connect for a 19-yard gain, and that will more than likely be the last play of this first quarter. And that is a perfect play to end a quarter on, a big confidence booster for these two young players. As that will be the end of the first quarter. It's all tied up at 0 apiece. A little bit surprising early on here but nonetheless tied up at 0. You're listening to Sanford Sports Radio. Welcome back, everyone, to the Sanford Sports Radio. I'm Jonathan West. It's 0-0 as Tanner Patrick takes off on a big option run. That's a 16-yard gain and enough for the first down. Take a look at this, Eastern Michigan. Our QB can run the option too. As it is a big game for Tanner Patrick. That is where he is at his deadliest on the ground as he's throwing here on 1st and 10. That's Rob Thomas again, down at the 1-yard line. 25-yard gain for the young sophomore. And the crowd here in Sanford City Stadium is loving it. The Den is a ruckus right now. As it is 1st and goal from the 1. Handoff goes to Fleming. He's in. Touchdown Coyotes. And Sanford draws first blood. That is huge for this team. They needed a big confidence booster, and that was the drive to do it. As it's 7-0 early, 1st and 10 screen here for Eastern Michigan. That's Eddie Daughtery with a 7-yard gain on the screen. 2nd and 3 now as the no huddle continues for the Eagles. As it's going to be a play fake, and Isaiah Fuller with the football. He was slowed down by Flash Gibson, finished off by redshirt freshman Pat Riley, younger brother, of course, to defensive coordinator Mark Riley, and he has been shining here as of late. You got to give it to the young man. He's playing tough football. 3rd and 5. Under center is Mason. They were in some type of strange pistol formation from the looks of things, or under center for a strange formation. A 12-yard gain to Shaq Van, and I spoke about it in the Howler. He's a deadly threat in the passing game. As 1st and 10, another pass, but Mason trips over his own back. I believe that was Shaq Van, and that's going to be a loss of 3 on that sack. 2nd and 13 is Mason throws again. That's Ian Erickson. He's going to gain 5 on that one, but it'll still bring up a 3rd and pretty long at 8. 3rd and 8 under center is Mason. He's getting the play from the sideline. They're in that kind of packed formation again. As Mason going to take off on the ground, and that's going to be more than enough for the first. John Mason with a first down as they are into Coyote territory. New set of downs, and it's the same situation. Shaq Van, the man in motion, is Mason to throw. Connects with Harris over the middle, and that's a big play. 18 yards for Lamar Harris. As they are inching closer to the red zone, Eastern Michigan wanting to respond with a definite sound here. As a play action on 1st and 10, and Shaq Van will gain a 4-yard reception. As that's going to help them move a bit, but they're going to need more than that to upset this defense as the no huddle continues. Mason, 2nd and 6, and he connects with Harris. That's a 9-yard gain against Richard Cruz, and that'll be enough for a new set of downs. The no huddle continues. But I think it finally caught up with them. Is yes, indeed, a false start by the Eagles. That'll move them back 5 yards. Finally, this defense gets a chance to rotate in some fresh guys. Get a breather for the guys that were in there as it's 1st and 15. And Deshaun Hollis says hello to John Mason. A loss of 4 from the big defensive end. He caused havoc in Buffalo. He caused havoc here back at home against John Mason. 2nd and 19 now. As Mason looks to throw, he's going to take off instead. They were ready as it's going to be a slide down after a gain of 5. 3rd and 14 here now as Mason looks to throw. He connects with Bryant, but he's slowed up, brought down by a number of Coyotes. And that's going to be an 11-yard gain. They're going to have to settle. As the kick is up and good, Eastern Michigan puts up 3. It's 7-3 here with 3:41 left in the second. It's been mostly Eastern Michigan football here in the second quarter. As 1st and 10, Patrick rolled out and misses Tremaine Dingle by a mile. Jason Beck was the man closest to the football, and he was nowhere near it. As 2nd and 10, it's Tyrone Jennings on the carry. An 11-yard gain there. Jennings shining since that Syracuse game. It's fun to see a dual threat at running back. As another handoff to Jennings here on 1st and 10. He's going to lose 2 there. Vincent Calhoun came down to make the big play on Jennings. Stopped him from getting anything. As Fleming checks back into the ball game, Patrick throwing though on 2nd and 12. That's going to be a 3-yard gain for Harrison Frazier. Not forcing anything there as he normally does on that mesh pattern. 3rd and 8 with under 2 minutes left in the half. Patrick rolling out here, looks to throw deep. Herb Fellows, and he hangs on. Took a big shot from Jason Beck. 28-yard reception. What a play. You got to give it to the senior. He wanted that reception. He got it. He took a shot and hung on. 1st and 10. Handoff goes to Fleming, and he's going to be brought down after a loss of 1. Lion King, I'm not joking, that's his name, brought him down for the tackle. As Tanner Patrick sets up a screen here on 2nd and 11, it goes nowhere but back. A loss of 6 on that one. As it was sniffed out immediately by the Eagles, they were ready to take the Coyotes down quickly. 3rd and 17 as the last 20-some seconds are on the clock here for this half. As that will fall luckily incomplete. Jason Beck was the man who could have come away with the pick. Well, less than 10 seconds remain here in the half, and a handoff goes to Ian Erickson, brought down by Dylan Trevor. Sorry about that, as it is 2nd and 4. Mason to throw. He connects with his intended target, Lamar Harris, on the sideline. 13-yard catch, and now with 2 seconds left. The Eagles can go Hail Mary if they wish, and it looks like they will. As Mason just throws it deep, nowhere near the end zone, and it's picked off. Pat Riley, give the man his 2nd pick of the year. We'll take that going into halftime as Pat Riley can celebrate with another interception added to his year. Maybe mainly just, throw it up, see if anybody comes down. But hey, it's put on the books. So you gotta love that. It's been a very low-scoring game. Defensive matchup, 7-3. Didn't expect this one. Sanford, though, is on top. Your second half coming up after this. You're listening to Sanford Sports Radio. It's 1st and 10 here to begin the second half of play. Isaiah Fuller with a big reception here for Eastern Michigan. 11-yard gain as it's 7-3, Sanford on top. 1st and 10, John Mason hands off. No, it's an option as he's taken off, avoiding Coyotes at any cost. And that's going to be a huge run for Mason into Coyote territory. And this dude's been the biggest threat on this entire football team. 1st and 10. As Mason in the shotgun, he's going to hand off to Ian Erickson, but he's bottled up quickly. That is Flash Gibson who got in there quick to take Erickson down for a loss of 2 yards. 2nd and 12 as Eastern Michigan looks to go back to that basic package that they keep going to, as that is nearly intercepted by Richard Cruz. Surprised he didn't come up with his 4th pick of the year. 3rd and 12 as Erickson gets the check down, and it's only going to be a gain of 8. Looks like Eastern Michigan going to have to settle. And no, they bring the offense back out on 4th and 4. Mason makes a change at the line. He's going to drop back now. Checks down to Van. He's brought down Jason Turner. Gain of nothing, and it's Coyotes football on the turnover. That's exactly how you want to see this defense play on 4th down. 1st and 10. They go option to the Coyotes, and Tanner Patrick just going to slide safely after a gain of 6. I will live with that. Just take any yards you can get, Tanner, and don't get hurt. 2nd and 4 handoff goes to Antoine Bradford, the fullback. He's not going to go anywhere. I'm sure Byron Girard enjoys seeing the fullback get a handoff here in this offense. The Swiss Army knife is what they call him. He's in attendance today as Tanner Patrick goes down. It is a sack by Ross Williams, the man who intercepted Tanner Patrick earlier in the ball game. Now adds a sack to his stat sheet today, as that's going to force the Coyotes to boot it away now. And it looks like Eastern Michigan going to try and throw early. 5 wide set is a big hit there by Trey McLaughlin, the senior. Not happy about seeing Eastern Michigan try and throw on him. 2nd and 10 here as Mason, play fake, connects with Shaq Van. He's brought down though. Richard Cruz brings him down after a gain of 9. 3rd and 1, and the crowd is going crazy here in the den. You can hear the defense chants here in the booth as it is 3rd and 1. Mason going to take off, and he's got a first down and more. It's a 12-yard run by John Mason, and that has silenced the crowd. 1st and 10 as the no-huddle continues for Eastern Michigan. Man in motions Erickson. They go play action. Check down to Erickson. And he fights off a flash Gibson. Bounces off more Coyotes. And is finally brought down after a gain of 9. No huddle continues as Shaq Van gets the handoff. It's a loss of 3 there as he ran right into Shane Townsend. Townsend just watches him come across and able to pick him apart right when he comes into eyesight. 3rd and 3 as the defense chants start again as Mason, though, gets enough room on the option, and it's going to be a gain of 7 and enough for the first. The crowd gets into it, but the defense can't put them away as the no-huddle continues, and you got to think this defense is exhausted right now as Worship gets the handoff, and that's going to be a gain of 1. 2nd and 9 here, as though it looks like a false start penalty may be coming, and indeed it will. Someone jumped on that Eagles front line, and that's going to move them back 5 yards. 2nd and 14 is Mason dropping back. He's going to take off, though, as he found a small gap to run through. That's going to be a nice game, bringing up 3rd and manageable. 3rd and 5. As it's still no huddle here, they get the play from the sideline. Mason dropping back. Pressure coming in. He checks down. Erickson brought down by Turner. That's a loss of 1. And Jason Turner has been the saving grace when it comes to these check downs. The swing to the right side of the field was shot down by Jason Turner immediately. He has been playing some hard-nosed football. It's going to be sad to see him go after this season. 1st and 10 now for the Sanford offense as Fleming takes the handoff, and he'll take it for a gain of 11. They're going to run this defense dry, I got a feeling. As a handoff here to Herb Fellows on an end around. Who expected to see Herb Fellows get a handoff today? It surely wasn't me, as that's a gain of 10 and a first down for the senior receiver. 1st and 10 here. Handoff. No, it's play action. As Patrick over the middle just really seemed to be throwing that one away. Luckily, didn't get picked off. It wasn't in the vicinity of 2 Eagles. 2nd and 10. Handoff goes to Claude Fleming. That's going to be a gain of 3 for the workhorse. As the Coyotes now looking at a 3rd and pretty long at 7. Patrick takes the snap out of the pistol. Goes deep, and that's good coverage by Jalen Phelps. As Phelps with the interception, and that is going to be a big turnover for the Eastern Michigan Eagles. Herb Fellows, the intended target. It's been a tough day. It's been a tough year going to Fellows. He's been well covered all year long. As 1st and 10 handoff for the Eagles goes to Ian Erickson. He's brought down by Dylan Trevor. A 5-yard gain. There's the hometown kid doing some good work today. 2nd and 5. The play coming in from the sideline here. Mason dropping back, looking to the sideline, and it is dropped. Incomplete. As there was no one around him. He could have had a big play, but it was a drop. It's 3rd and 5. Mason over the middle. It's Harris with the catch. That's a 9-yard gain and enough for the first down. Lamar Harris being the big threat wide receiver, it seems, today. As 1st and 10 with 30 seconds left here in the third. Mason to throw, but he goes down. That is Elliott Flowers. I thought for a second it was James Bryant, but no, Elliott Flowers able to fight off some offensive linemen, comes around the tackle who's busy with Hollis and gets to John Mason. That is 2 sacks today now for this defensive line, and both from those interior tackles. 2nd 17, Mason's going to throw here, and that's a big hit on Holder. Isaac Holder with a gain of 7 as it takes us to the end of the third quarter. Sanford still on top at 7-3, but Eastern Michigan is driving. Your final quarter of play coming up just after this. You're listening to the Sanford Sports Radio. Welcome back, everyone, to the Sanford Sports Radio. It's 7-3 Sanford on top as Mason to throw here on 3rd and 10. Erickson able to spin off of one would-be tackle, but Richard Cruz says hello with a big hit. 4th and 4, and the offense still out there. Mason to throw, connects with Daughtery, and that is enough for a first down, gain of 8, taken down by Ronnie Hansen. It's 1st and 10 once again for Eastern Michigan as the no huddle continues. Mason to go to the screen, but it's bottled up. Lamar Harris can't go anywhere. It's only a short gain of 2 yards. 2nd and 8 as the no huddle continues. Mason to throw. Trying to find room and runs right into a defensive lineman. That is Justin Moss, the redshirt freshman, picking up his 2nd sack of the year. That's a big one as he forces the lineman back, nearly in to Mason, and he's going to get the credit for that sack, even though I think it was Big Joe Irvin that really brought him down. 3rd and 14 for Mason. He connects with Shaq Van. He's got room, and he gets just enough for the first down. They're going to give it to him. 1st and 10 here as under center is Mason. Getting a play from the sideline. Man in motion with Shaq Van. They pitch it off, but Van can't go far. He won't gain anything. Pat Riley on the tackle. The young man out of Canada making the big play. 2nd and 10. Once again, the no huddle continues. Van in motion. It's another play action. Quick throw is knocked away by senior linebacker Trey McLaughlin. Nothing going there. 3rd and 10 as Mason goes to the screen, but it's brought down quickly. Nate Ginn all over it. Not allowing anything. He was all over that one. Nothing going for that screen as they're going to have to settle for a field goal. The kick is up, and it's no good. Wide left. That is great as we'll take you to an update here. Ohio is right now beating Kent State in a tight one, 21-20 in this MAC conference game. 1st and 10 here as Sanford takes over on offense. They just got to run some clock as an 8-yard option run there by Tanner Patrick. He's had a solid day. The 2 interceptions, not a fun thing to see, but overall it's been very consistent. As a handoff to Fleming, and it's a loss of 2. As Vincent Calhoun's been a big playmaker here in the run game today for Eastern Michigan. He has stuffed Sanford a couple times. Patrick to throw. He's going deep. That's Tremaine Dangle with the catch. Jason Beck overran Tremaine Dingle, and that allowed for Dingle to turn around and find the football. That is a great play there by Dingle, just a bad one by back. As 1st and 10 for Sanford now as the handoff goes to Tyrone Jennings. That's going to be a gain of 7. A nice solid carry there for the young man. As Sanford looking to kill more clock at this point, they go back to the ground game. It's been all about running the football today, and it's working out. A 6-yard run there and a new set of downs for the Coyotes. 1st and 10 handoff goes to Claude Fleming, and that's going to be a gain of 3. This team has rushed for over 100 yards today, and it's been all about just run the football. Throwing it has not been the priority, as there's a throw on 2nd and 7 to Antoine Bradford. He'll take it up for an 11-yard gain. 1st and 10. Handoff goes to Fleming. He's rushing through that defense. Touchdown, Sanford. A nice spin into the end zone for Claude Fleming as he had already bowled over an Eastern Michigan defender. That is touchdown number 3 of the season for Claude Fleming. To think last week he came in with no touchdowns. Now he has 3 on the year. As Mason throws to Ian Erickson here on 1st and 10, it's a gain of 4. Eastern Michigan got to hope for a miracle at this point. 2 minutes remaining as the clock continues to tick. Mason dropping back, connects with Daughtery though, as he's brought down by Dustin Jordan, the freshman corner. 1st and 10 here as Mason looks to throw, connects with Isaiah Fuller. He's out of bounds after a gain of 15. That'll stop the clock. As Mason with a smart play there to find the deep out route. 1st and 10 for Eastern Michigan. The Eagles looking to throw again over the middle. That's Holder. And Isaac Holder, 23 yards. Michigan finding room to throw now. 1st and 10, Mason looks to throw again, checks down to Shaq Van. He's pushed backwards and brought down by Dylan Trevor. That is a gain of only 2. As 2nd and 8, it's a throw now to Bryant. He's brought down. Richard Cruz with another big hit. But Cruz looks down. This doesn't look good for Richard Cruz. No, I'm sorry though, he is back in the game. It looked like he might have been down, but he did not leave the field. As a throw there to Isaiah Fuller by Mason, and what a catch. Touchdown Eastern Michigan, and that catch is Santonio Holmes-esque. Very similar to the Holmes catch in the Super Bowl. Hell of a catch by Fuller, as they're going to go for 2, it looks like. Man in motion here. As Mason dropping back. He's going to throw on the run and falls incomplete. It's 9-14. They're going to need an onside kick if they want an opportunity. This is the game, folks. Eastern Michigan kicks the onside. It's picked up Rob Thomas. And that is Sanford football. Now let's run this game out. 1st and 10, Bradford, the man in motion. Patrick hands off to Tyrone Jennings, and he'll gain 3 on that carry. As the first time out of the half taken by Eastern Michigan. 2 more to kill here as the handoff goes to Claude Fleming. He's going to fight. That'll be around 7 yards, and now 3rd and inches. 3rd and inches, handoff to Bradford, and Antoine Bradford will seal the deal, as it is a Sanford victory. They're 2-0 now in conference, boys, as it's 13 carries for 62 yards and 2 touchdowns for Claude Fleming to make him the player of the game today. A nice game overall by Sanford, really choosing to run the football instead of pass. 2 interceptions, luckily, that didn't lead to points. That's the key component. Sanford, though, is going to have to figure out what they want to do. They need to figure out a strategy for the rest of this season. That's going to be the big thing. Figure out what you want to do as a team, and that's what you do. It seemed like today it was run the football and make sure that works. If it's going to be that all season, keep it going. Because this team looks like they found some momentum. They now need to keep it throughout the rest of MAC Conference play. Because this team's got a tough test to win the East one more time. Because Miami of Ohio, once again, is the number one enemy right now. We will see you folks next week as your final once again 14-9 Sanford over Eastern Michigan. We'll see you next week as they head to Illinois to face the Northern Illinois Huskies. It's rivalry week, folks, next week.